Hi, this is Neil McKenzie. Welcome to this episode of Art, Business, and Marketing. Today I'm going to talk to you about your elevator speech, or as I like to call it, your story. You need an effective introduction when you meet people. Many people call it an elevator speech, or it's often called a 60-second commercial. I prefer to call it your story. One that talks about you and your art, one that engages and connects with your audience, and one that describes what I like to call your secret sauce. Creating an effective story is hard work, and it takes a lot of practice to get it just right. Almost all people in business struggle with getting that perfect few sentences that roll off your tongue with ease and conviction, and artists are no exception. An effective story is a few sentences that tell about you and your art, connects with your audience, and leaves them wanting to find out more. But before we start on developing your story, I'd like you to take a look at a couple marketing adages that will serve you well in all of your marketing efforts, including telling your story. Number one, you can't bore people into buying from you. Your story needs to be interesting, connect with your audience, and if you do it well, it will touch their emotions. Number two, you can't put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. You only have a limited amount of time to tell your story. You need to get to the point quickly and only cover the things that are important. It's better to have a short story than one that is long and drawn out. Okay, here are some tips to help you develop your story. First, get out a piece of paper and write down the major points or elements that you would like your audience to know about you and your art. These elements should include a description of what you do and how you do it. What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? Are there any special processes or materials you use? In short, what is your secret sauce? It is important that you tell what you do, but your story should be more, much, much more. Next, write a description of the benefits you provide that gives your audience a reason to be interested in you and your art. People buy products, including art, because they fulfill a need, whether utilitarian or emotional. Try to connect with your audience on an emotional level, as this is the most powerful motivator. And lastly, include a description of your experience, credentials, and skills. If you have something that you are exceptional at or really proud of, then be sure to include these in your story. Now, once you've identified the major elements of your story, write a script that is a few sentences long that covers these major points. Be sure to introduce yourself in the first sentence with something like, "Hi, my name is." If you can add some humor or a surprise in your story, this will make it much more memorable as well as more effective. Now, after you have written your story down, practice saying it out loud. You can do this by yourself or enlist the help of a friend. Practice your story and make changes as needed until you get it just right and it flows naturally. You may need variations on your story depending on your audience. For example, if you are a sculptor and a painter, you may need a variation for you as a sculptor and one for you as the painter. In any case, there should be a core of your story that remains constant. Once you've developed your story, you will need to practice and work on delivering it to your audience. The first 3 times this may be difficult, but as you do it more and more, it will become easier and natural. Here are a few tips to help you deliver your story. Number 1, look your audience in the eye when you tell your story. There's nothing worse than hearing someone's story when they're not looking at you, they seem distracted, or even disinterested. Act with passion and confidence, and most important, be authentic. As Maya Angelou once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Make sure your audience walks away with a good feeling. Number 2, the more times you tell your story, the better you will be able to deliver it. Like most things, practice makes perfect. Be sure to look for clues as to which points your audience is interested in and tailor your story accordingly. Number 3, artists have an advantage in that they can show their audience a picture of their work. Consider keeping some small pictures of your work in your pocket to go along with your story, or better yet, incorporate images of your work into a business card or small brochure which you can leave behind. Number 4, when you're done telling your story, be sure to ask the other person, what is your story? It can be impolite to ask someone what they do or what their job is. Instead, ask them, what's your story? You may be surprised on how you can connect with others on this level and the relationships you can start to build. And finally, remember that the purpose of telling your story is to get the listener interested enough in you to move to the next step. This could be asking for your card or wanting to find out more about you and your art. Okay, that's it for this episode of Art, Business, and Marketing. I hope you got some ideas on how to develop and deliver your story. Keep working at it, and before you know it, delivering your story will become second nature. Also, be sure to check back soon, as I will be adding more tools and techniques to help you and your art business grow. Goodbye, and good luck until then.